Hello, let's talk about one of the most irritating parts of a new piercing, and that is irritation bumps. Unfortunately, irritation bumps are not a default part of healing a new piercing. However, some people are significantly more prone to getting an irritation bump than others. Today, I really want to talk about what irritation bumps are and specifically what they are not. I have heard a lot of piercers and piercer-adjacent individuals say that irritation bumps and keloids are the same thing, and that is simply not true. Keloids are an overgrowth of scar tissue. Generally, people are genetically predisposed to getting keloids and may experience keloids with or without a piercing. Any kind of damage to the flesh can cause a keloid in people who are predisposed to getting keloids. Sometimes you see people, especially with industrial piercings, where they will have those huge globs of scar tissue off of the ear. That is an example of a keloid. While there are a lot of at-home remedies that seem to work for some people, the only surefire way to have them removed is to go to a dermatologist and have them surgically removed. While improper piercing practices can increase the risk of somebody gaining a keloid, just because you have a reputable piercer does not mean that you will not get a keloid. Unfortunately, if you are predisposed to getting keloids, there's not really a way to tell whether or not you will get one from your piercing. Your best bet is to monitor it, and if it grows significantly, talk to a dermatologist. Unlike keloids, irritation bumps are not an overgrowth of scar tissue. Irritation bumps are your body's way of saying, hey, I am irritated. And they occur most frequently with piercings because there is a literal foreign object in the body that your body is trying to figure out what to do about. While irritation bumps can occur in soft tissue, I do find that they are most common in cartilage areas such as the nose or the ear. Some people may be more prone to gain irritation bumps than others. For instance, any cartilage piercing I have ever had in my life has gotten an irritation bump, and it is super annoying. I have one right now, which makes me feel really awkward being in front of a camera trying to talk to you because it looks like I don't know how to take care of my piercings, but it's literally just how my body reacts to new things. Unlike keloids, irritation bumps do go away eventually on their own. Most often irritation bumps will form because there was a lot of movement. Your body can form an irritation bump for any number of reasons. A lot of people will find that they get an irritation bump within a couple of days of getting hit really hard around the piercing. I have had a lot of clients come in to me saying that their kid pulled on their piercing and then a few days later this magical little annoying bump showed up. I tend to warn my clients that noses especially tend to be prone to irritation bumps because it is in the middle of the face and it moves a lot. Regardless of if you're pierced with a nose screw or a flat back, it spins a lot in place. So you're getting a lot of movement there, and that tends to lead to irritation. If you're going to a less than reputable piercer, you may also find that low quality jewelry can cause an irritation bump. Sleeping directly on your piercing causes irritation as well. It can definitely take a little bit of detective work to figure out the root cause of the irritation bump. But once you do figure out what is causing the irritation, it is best to remove the source of irritation. If it is poor quality jewelry, it is best to go to a reputable piercer and ask them to change the jewelry for you. If it is that you are sleeping on your piercing, stop sleeping on your piercing. If you are a side sleeper and you had your ears pierced, especially if you had both of them pierced at the same time, I would recommend getting a travel pillow, one of those little U-shaped guys, and putting that on top of your usual pillow so that you can rest your ear inside the hole. If the irritation bump occurred after you experienced some trauma, such as your child deciding that they really wanted to play with the shiny thing in your body, your best bet is to just leave the piercing alone for a few days. In any case, it can be really helpful to meet with your local reputable piercer to kind of do some of that detective work and figure out what the best course of action going forward will be for you and your piercing. The nice thing about irritation bumps, though they are a little bit unsightly when you get them, is that they do go away on their own. Sometimes it can take longer than other times. I've been nursing this guy for a couple weeks now, but it has gotten smaller, so I know I'm doing something right. I tend to be somewhat of a slow healer, and I move my nose around a lot, and I do get hit in the face a lot because I have 3 dogs at home. So I knew as soon as the irritation bump showed up that I'd be dealing with it for a while, and I have been, but it has gotten smaller, so I know I'm doing something right. While a lot of people worry that an irritation bump is a sign of infection, that is very rarely the case. Irritation bumps may or may not bring about any kind of additional inflammation or pain. It's just sort of an unsightly little zit-looking guy. What I do not recommend doing is trying any of the internet hacks for removing irritation bumps. At most, continue with your piercer prescribed cleaning, which is usually going to be a saline solution. A lot of the piercing bump solutions that you can find online are generally just going to cause more irritation. While they may temporarily cause that irritation bump to go away, they can bring about their own host of issues. Same thing goes for putting aspirin directly on the piercing. Yes, it may make the irritation bump go away, but you are causing loads of irritation to the skin, and it can cause its own host of complications. And while I know some people are able to do it and have no problems, recognize that those people are usually the unique unicorns that we don't see very often. For most people doing these special tricks like the aspirin, they usually find that the irritation bump comes back with a vengeance. So let's talk a little bit about distinguishing an irritation bump from a keloid. First of all, if you are not genetically predisposed to getting keloids, as in nobody else in your family gets keloids, that's usually a good sign that what you are experiencing is an irritation bump. It's not surefire. If you find that after the bump has shown up, it continues to get larger, that is usually a sign that what you are dealing with is a keloid rather than an irritation bump. Irritation bumps usually have a tendency to show up and then shrink over time. Keloids have a tendency to show up and either stay the same size or grow. If you have some sort of abnormal growth occurring on or around the piercing site, it's a good idea to talk to your local piercer, recognizing that they are not medical professionals. However, they can usually be a good first step before consulting with an actual dermatologist. I also generally would not recommend the removal of the piercing unless you have consulted with your local piercer or a doctor and they have instructed that you should remove the piercing. But above all else, recognize that I, like most other piercers, am not a medical professional. None of this constitutes official medical advice. But based on what I have seen and what I have heard from the rest of the industry, irritation bumps are just a natural part of some people's healing process, and that is okay. It is best to just talk to your piercer and they will help you through the whole process. So with all that, if you found this video helpful, be sure to give me a big old thumbs up. It helps out. And also, while you're down there, be sure to leave a comment and let me know what you would like me to talk about in a future video. Also, while you're down there, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I post a new piercing video every Friday and whatever it is I'm doing on Wednesdays. It's whatever. I hope you have a lovely day and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!